Welcome everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. I know this is the very end of the conference for everyone, and I hope we make it worth your while to stick around for this last little bit here. So I want to introduce myself. I'm Catherine Gilkey. I live in Austin, Texas, and this is Umar Mohammad, and he's an 8th grader at my school. I had him last year and this year. He's in my GT class, and I'm really happy that he could present with me today. He's a remarkable young man, and I think you're going to enjoy. I hope you enjoy what we have to share. So, all right. So, I've had Mohammed, the privilege of teaching Mohammed, and I'm in my 20th year of education. I still love it just as much as I ever have. I've done some other things. I've been kind of in and out of teaching. I've done some marketing and some different things, but teaching is my passion. So speaking of passion, last spring, my GT students did passion projects, and I let them pick any topic they wanted, and they got to like do some research. And then of course we were digital last spring, so they had to present their research digitally, which was interesting. So up that top left corner, you've got a poster, but she, of course, it was a photo that she shared. So that was kind of interesting. And that's kind of where this whole music of COVID starts. And they did the projects. And then I, with several students, I kind of challenged them to take the project a step beyond where they took it. So for example, I had a kindergartner. Radanj made a poster about protecting yourself against COVID-19. And I said, well, that's cool, but why don't you take that and turn it into a PowerPoint? A Google slideshow, and he did. It's amazing how much even our littles know about technology. So then 7th grader, she's an 8th grader this year, Jillian learned how to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. I'll share that clip. She's pretty cool. So without the whole 3-minute clip, it's pretty cool what she was able to solve it blindfolded. So that was very cool in itself, but I challenged her I said, Jillian, that's cool, but why don't you do a little research and find out, like, how could that be useful? Like learning how to solve a Rubik's Cube, how could that be useful, beyond just the Rubik's Cube?
Last year, I learned how to solve a 2x2 Rubik's Cube blindfolded. It was a fun but difficult experience. Learning how to solve a cube has many benefits. One of those many benefits is solving problems. When you learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube by yourself, your brain gets better at figuring out problems. Cubers spend hours trying to think of new and creative ways to solve Rubik's Cubes. All of this creative thinking helps your brain in day-to-day problems. When I learn a new method, I try to think of cool shortcuts to help me solve, cool methods to help me memorize algorithms better, or cool methods to help me just solve better. In addition to problem solving, Rubik's Cubes help with memorization, patience, keeping your fingers in shape, and many more benefits.
Okay. And did a little more research. And And then our co-host, my co-host Umar, researched the COVID-19 genome, detailing technical data in understandable terms. It was pretty amazing. I actually had to look up words. Um, he delves pretty deep in the genetic stuff, and but he presented it in a very understandable way. And this is right here is where all this got started with the COVID music. I asked him if he had heard of using genetic code to create music. I had heard of that concept, and he had not, but he decided to take on that challenge of doing that. So Umar created software. He's quite a good coder. He created software using nucleotide and codon algorithms to produce the music of COVID-19. And I'm going to share a video clip. Spectrum News, it kind of ran a story that explains it pretty well.
Do you like what you hear? If you don't, you're not alone.
It sounds like music, but it's not like something you would actually enjoy to hear.
Believe it or not, Mohammed had something to do with the music.
Well, I was just researching the coronavirus genome, and then I came across this concept called DNA music, which is basically taking those nucleotides and turning them into music.
He's only 12 years old, and he's passionate about genetics.
So it's made of 4 nucleotides. The RNA of the coronavirus is made of 4 nucleotides. They're called adenine, uracil, cytosine, and guanine.
Labeled as A, U, C, and G. Now for the music part. If you're familiar with the core musical notes, by that I'm talking about C, D, E, F, G, A, B, just like genetic sequencing, they're letters. So Mohammed put 2 and 2 together, and this is what he came up with.
Adenine became a G tone, uracil became C, cytosine became E, and guanine became A. I tuned it and changed the tempo. So there were a bunch of different settings that you could have changed. If I changed the settings a little bit, it could have become more ominous, but I just kept it cheerful.
To tone down the virus's threatening nature as the world continues to fight to keep its tune.
It was just interesting that it created rhythms, and that was the interesting part.
So, yeah, that was pretty cool. So that was he kind of took his DNA genetic research about COVID and took it a step beyond where it was, and that's kind of a concept. I'm going to back up here just a second. Umar, do you want to go ahead and I'll stop sharing and let you share a little bit more about that?
Okay, thank you. So 1 second, I'll share my presentation. So hello everyone, I'm Umar Mohammad and I'm in 8th grade in Harmony School of Endeavor, Austin. So thank you for this opportunity to speak at this year's Texas STEM conference. My project's name is The Music of COVID-19, and without further ado, let us start this presentation. And for everyone, if you have any questions during the presentation, I'm going to start this Q&A session on Google Slides. The link should be there. 1 second. Project. So last year in my GT class, or Gifted and Talented, we were assigned a project where we could research anything that interested us. Since at the time the COVID-19 lockdown had just begun, I researched the coronavirus. I learned about how the coronavirus works, but in the process I also learned its weaknesses. With my research, I proposed a possible cure for the coronavirus. But on the side of that, I had also heard that people had made music based on human biology, and my teacher, Miss Gilkey, she asked me if I could make music out of the COVID-19 genome. And when I was examining the coronavirus, I found a pattern in it that was almost musical. So I wrote a program that would turn it into music, so as Miss Gilkey covered earlier. So my computer program would translate the virus's structure into the rhythm of music. So I inserted the COVID-19 structure into that program, and the result was this clip of music. So that was just 20 seconds of the music. The entire clip of music is pretty long since the coronavirus is pretty complex. Anyways, so it can be hard to believe that this piece of music could be based on a virus, but it's rhythmic because it's based on a certain part of a virus called RNA. RNA is where viruses store their information. And RNA is a combination of the four nitrogenous bases of RNA: adenine, uracil, cytosine, and guanine, as you saw before. I translated each nucleotide into a different note to create the melody you just heard last slide. There are four nitrogenous bases in RNA, and I thought even of an instrument with four basic notes, and I came up with the ukulele. If you don't know, the ukulele is a instrument very similar to the guitar. It's like the guitar, but it has four strings instead of six. So the ukulele has four basic notes: G, C, E, and A. So I matched up the ukulele's notes to nitrogenous bases to create a basic RNA melody. So as you can see in the picture, your uracil became a C note, guanine became an E note, adenine became a G note, and cytosine became an A note. So this melody was relatively simple, so I added different instruments to make the music more interesting. So as you can see in the picture here, adenine would play a piano note, uracil a guitar note, guanine a pizzicato note, and cytosine a flute note. And you can see the pictures of those instruments right here. Uh, so I mentioned earlier that I made a computer program to translate the coronavirus RNA into music, and I coded this program in Scratch. Scratch is this uh, simplified programming language, if you don't know. So this program controls which notes and instruments to play based on the RNA's nitrogenous bases. My COVID-19 music didn't go unnoticed. Soon I was interviewed by KUT, which is the main radio station in Austin, I believe. And this interview was aired on the Texas Standard and the National Public Radio. I was also interviewed by Spectrum News, who's aired a story on it, and you saw that story earlier. So the results of the music. So the result of this music is that it shows that COVID-19 has a pattern in its RNA. This is not the only instance of patterns in nature. Patterns appear everywhere in nature, from Fibonacci numbers in flowers to hexagons in beehives. Coronavirus genome is just one example of the many. So earlier I mentioned my passion project to where I proposed a cure for the coronavirus. So I'm going to explain that cure briefly. So the coronavirus has a protein called NSP5, not a very descriptive name, but a protein is basically something that a virus or any living organism can use to perform functions. So this NSP5 is a very special protein because when it's next to another NSP5 protein, it will cut through other proteins to form a bond with it. So my theory here was, in my research, I'm going to simplify this, but if we wrap an NSP5 protein in other proteins and it's near a COVID-19, it will break out of that container. But if we wrap some powerful medicine with the NSP5, when the NSP5 breaks out of that container, it'll send that medicine to the coronavirus and we could possibly cure the infection in the human. So, in conclusion, coronavirus's RNA is an example of the many patterns in nature. Studying COVID 19's RNA can help us better understand this dangerous virus. With the help of my teacher, Ms. Gilkey, I have been able to reach out to some experts and obtain their guidance on my proposed theories. I hope to have the opportunity to test my theories in a lab and possibly seek better understanding of the practical implications of my research. So thank you. This concludes my presentation. So if you have any questions, use the Q&A tool and I'll answer them.
So it just really blew me away what he was able to do. And it really took he did the research, the COVID-19 research on the genetics. He took it a step further, and it's still going further because he's talking with a UT professor of molecular biosciences. And it's interesting because he CCs me on those emails. It's interesting to see the exchange of ideas, and who knows, we'll see where Umar ends up. I think I don't know if he's going to get a cure for COVID, but I mean, he's pretty remarkable. So I'm going to share my screen again and just share some thoughts. You know, as I was putting this together, I was talking with a friend. She taught at UT Arlington and she coached teachers. And she said, as you're talking about this, you know, really, like, I guess each year I kind of challenge myself as a teacher, and I am kind of challenging myself this year, and it started last year, but to help the kids push just a little step further, especially GT kids. I raised 4 GT kids. I understand them very well. They can be remarkable and they can be lazy and everything in between. I mean, you know, and so not all of them take that challenge, but I feel like it's amazing what they could do if they just push a little bit. So I'm going to share my screen again. Here we go. That video clip, you know, I've taught science most of my career. I've also taught English, but that video clip, it's a 7th grade science topic, tropism. You witnessed a time-lapse video of tropism. Trope means to turn. In Greek, it means to turn. And so I guess in thinking about like pushing kids a little further is thinking of how we can trigger the trope, trigger them to turn. We can be the stimulus that triggers them to go on to the next level. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a minute, and I want to share something with you guys. I wish I memorized it. I'm not like real great about memorizing, but this is an interesting thing that I want to share with you. A lot of our very brightest students are comfortable coloring inside the lines, checking the boxes, completing these concrete specific tasks, and they get rewarded by the education system, mostly for test scores, grades, test scores. The real world rewards creative problem solving and a mindset that thinks bigger than the task at hand. And so that's what I was just talking about, pushing the kids a little further. My son-in-law, Thomas Ince, grew up in a big family in East Texas. Lots of love, not a lot of money. He decided to become a dentist. So after high school, he finished the classes he needed to go to dental school, and he started college, bypassed several degrees, and he went straight from high school diploma to doctorate, like Who does that? he there's thinking, I've always said that about Thomas, there's thinking inside the box, there's thinking outside of the box, and then there's Thomas who's like unaware that there's a box. After dental school and a few years of practicing, he built his first dental practice, his first office. Then he built a couple more, and at age 31, he sold his practices and took some pretty big risks. He started a company with a very creative business model that offers the opportunity for vocational training at a much lower cost. Anyway, so that was 9 years ago. That company now nets currently 16 million a year. Their goal this year for 2021 is 25 million. And he's been extremely successful as an entrepreneur. He troped on to another whole other career from dentistry. And he's just about as chill and humble as anybody you'd ever want to meet. He's a lot of times for lunch, he'll open a can of beans. He walks to work most of the time. He's just a rare one who turned his life towards something he wanted. He didn't have any advantages. And I just wanted to share his story because I think a lot of our kids can do and be a lot more than they realize, a lot more than they think. And I think that thinking toward that next level and kind of pushing themselves, bigger mindset, they can just, it's just, I think it's phenomenal what we can kind of nudge them to where we can nudge them to go. So I'll share my screen to this last little bit here. So let's see. So I'm not going to read through this, but basically I'm kind of nudging myself to get them to go to the next level. Sometimes I will just reflect, you know, I'll ask them questions, have them ask each other questions, not just stop at the end of a project, but kind of like where could we go from here? I love this. Teach 10% asking kids questions, 90% inspiring them to ask questions you can't even answer. So Umar found this COVID-19 genetic rhythm. He created a melody based on certain choices and he was explaining that. And there could be infinite possibilities, right? Infinite possibilities for the music of COVID. The rhythm, the genetic code is the same, but how it could play out could be, like I said, infinite possibilities. I found an app that transcribed the music of COVID that he created, and that you heard, so I'm not going to play that. But I played around with that because I write music and I play around with music. And if you change the note assignments or the tempo, it can completely change the music. It's still the same genetic code, the same rhythm, but it can change it entirely. So you guys heard Umar's. So here's a different version. So that's another whole version. And I hope this, I'm concerned about the delay, but we'll try it. Let's see. So basically I just, you know, it just kind of blew my mind thinking about this. I'm going to stop sharing for a second because I just want to tell you I literally teared up the other day playing around with this in the music app because I was playing in bagpipes, then I was playing it in marimba, is, you know, calypso feel. I teared up because I was like, this is the song the whole world is playing right now, no matter what version it sounds like. it's the same. I just got goosebumps. It's this COVID, and that is mind blowing to me. To me, that just takes it to another level. So I just want to wrap this up here. And so, yeah, that's, like I said, taking it to the next level. And I really do believe this mindset of thinking next level, thinking bigger, can change the path of our students' lives. Just wanted to share my contact information. So that's all we wanted to share with y'all. I hope it has been enlightening for you guys. It's fun. It's been fun to share it. It kind of took it to the next level for me to present at this conference. I have not done something like this, quite like this. But yeah, thanks for sharing this time with us. I know it's Friday afternoon. Thank you.
Your attendance on a Friday is amazing. For the final session, y'all really have shown up for Umar.
We appreciate the the interest in hearing about this. Do you guys have any questions? Umar's more tech savvy than I am, so he was doing this, put the link in the chat about the questions thing. But do y'all have any questions? Just feel free to just unmute and yeah, this has been interesting. Never dull with teaching, right? Yeah. Laura, or
I just wanted to say I would love to see where Umar goes from here.
Right.
I would love to follow him. You're an amazing young man.
Yes. Yeah. He really is. I am so blessed to teach a bunch of kids like Umar, and I have his little sister. Last spring, her passion project, his sister's project, was a Google slideshow on DNA and RNA. She was in kindergarten, no, first grade last year, sorry. Yeah, I mean, the fact that they can put a slideshow together in itself.
Amazing.
Like, she had embedded videos, and man, I'm just like blown away. It's an honor.
Did you help your little sister? No?
Oh, she's all her own little person. Yeah, she's something else. It's been a real challenge. I guess all of us have had a challenge this year of, like my default as a STEM teacher is more science, the hands-on, I mean, we've dissected pigs and we've all kinds of stuff. So to be, constrained to the digital platform has been a challenge. So we've
very challenging.
Yeah, I've done demonstrations. I'll say, okay, I'll send them an email, bring this to class, and then they get to try whatever at home. But it is a challenge, but it's pushed me to the next level, because I have done, like with my first and second graders, done some algebra. I would probably have defaulted to the hands-on stuff with the little ones, or we've learned a whole bunch of digital platforms for making animations or whatever. It's really been a good challenge. I love being pushed out of my comfort zone. I mean, I don't love it, but I hate it, but that's been interesting. And speaking of, I'm going to share one more slide just for fun, because I didn't know if there would be just a minute to share it. Oh gosh, what did I do? Here we go. Whoops. Okay, so take a look at this. I ran across this. My elementary students are studying the Amazon rainforest and biotic, abiotic factors changes to ecosystems. What I thought was so funny about this is students in the Peruvian Amazon rainforest. And what was mind-blowing to me is like like trying to fit we've got this COVID that's changing everything. I mean, everything. And it's like, I keep seeing, especially with education, we keep trying to put the round peg in this new square hole. And that, you know, the rows and desks in the Peruvian rainforest, the rows and desks, I mean, the desks and rows, sorry, and the masks outside, I don't know. It just kind of, I thought it was funny. So I guess if I want to push you guys to the next level, just continue thinking of ways like I am to fit the round peg. I mean, to stop trying to, you know, to change the peg to fit the new paradigm. So, because it's been a change, and it's going to be good though. I think that it's been good for me anyway. I'll say that. Anybody else have a question, comment, or I don't know, just something to share? Anything? Well,
I was reflecting, I would be interested if there was another aspect of for Umar, I was wondering if there was another aspect of the coronavirus that could be identified to complement the sequence of the 4 acids. You have four notes there, but if there were another component of the DNA structure, or the structure of the coronavirus, that could propose additional notes to complement the sequence that you already have. I further thought there's a great likelihood that if you did complement it, it would be dissonant. There would be a clash, but it could be an interesting, it could be something you could look into to make it a polyphonic, layered ensemble. I really applaud your effort, and yes, it very, very remarkable and entertaining.
You're pushing it to the next level. No, that's awesome. Yeah, the DNA and the RNA nucleotides are, yeah. You know, I'm actually, my nephew is he is a bass player with the Detroit Symphony, and his girlfriend is the concert master, the principal violinist of the Chicago Symphony. So I'm going to tweak the transcription, because I don't think it's completely accurate from the app, but I want to push it their direction and see what they might do with it.
That would be super cool.
Who knows?
Could hear some professional musicians perform it.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, it's just it is the song of the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, thank you guys so much for being here. Like I said, Friday afternoon, we just are honored that you came to join us, and hope you have a safe, I guess we're all kind of stuck in
But hunkered down
right now. But yeah, I hope you have a really invigorating rest of your semester. And thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Umar. Thank you guys for joining us. Y'all have a lovely day.